Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to show you how to create a sympathy card that uses two stamp sets from Stampin' Up. The first stamp set is called Mother's Love and it's in our Spring Occasions catalog. And the second stamp set is from our annual catalog and it's called Love and Sympathy. So let me show you the card that we're going to create. On the outside of the card it says nobody loves like a mom. And then on the inside, sending love and sympathy. And I think this is a beautiful card. One of my customers' mother passed away last week, and so I wanted to create something and send to her. And so this is what I came up with. You'll notice that it uses our Sheer Perfection vellum paper, which is available only during the month of March 2015 as one of the bonus celebration items that Stampin' Up's put out. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to need to create this card is a piece of Calypso Coral cardstock. This is cut at 4 1/4 by 11 and I've scored it at 5 1/2 with our Simply Scored scoring tool. So all I have to do is fold that towards the mountain, and I am going to do that right now. To make that fold a little bit more intense, I'm going to take my bone folder and just crease on the back. That will allow the card to lay flat while I'm working with it. The next piece of paper that you will need are 2 pieces of crisp cantaloupe cardstock. Both of these pieces are cut to the same size, 4 by 5 1/4. One of these pieces we'll be putting on the inside of the card and one of the pieces on the outside of the card. And so we can go ahead and get started with our vellum pieces that we're going to use. So I'll set this aside for just a minute. The vellum pack that we're using, again, this is our Sheer Perfection Designer Vellum Stack. It's 24 sheets of 6 by 6 paper and it's printed on one side. These are beautiful designs that you can use in many different card making occasions or even in some 3D items. And again, that's available only during March as a gift with purchase. When you purchase $50 worth, you can select it as one of your free items. So you will be able to make 2 cards from each 6 by 6 sheet. You'll want to cut your sheet into a 2 1/4 by 3 1/2 inch piece. And then also you will want to cut a 3/4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. And that will go along the bottom. Then you'll need to color this in. And so what I have here are a couple of markers from our Subtles marker pack. This is the Calypso Coral and this is the Pear Pizzazz. And all I do is I figure out which piece of the sheer vellum paper is the front and which is the back. The front has a little bit of a basic gray intenseness and the back is just a little bit lighter. So we're going to color the back. Let me see, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper here, make it a little easier for you to see. And I'm going to take the brush tip and I'm just going to go through and color all of these flowers from the back side with Calypso Coral. When I have that completed, then I just go through and I use my Pear Pizzazz, and on the back side again I'm just going to color in the leaves with the Pear Pizzazz. And you can see how that would go. And I would do it with both pieces of this vellum paper. When you turn it over, you can see that it shows through to the front. And so I did go ahead and do this just to save a little bit of time on our video. So let's go ahead and adhere this to our panels. So the inside panel, of course, is going to get this piece right here. And I've already cut it to size, so I am going to use some snail adhesive. Normally with vellum, I wouldn't use snail, but because this is printed vellum and it also has some markering on it, it really doesn't show to the other side. So I am putting the markered side, which is the back side, and I'm adhering that part directly to this card panel. And so the next thing is to do a little stamping. I have some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm going to ink up the sentiment from the Love and Sympathy stamp set. And then I'm going to line this up, and we are going to stamp that right in the middle, right here. That panel is complete. So we can go ahead and set this inside our card, and I'm going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue. Our multi-purpose liquid glue is great for gluing our heavier cardstocks onto each other. And you only need a little bit at the top. This glue is sticks very, very well, and so there's no reason to use any more than what I showed you. Now here is the second panel, and this is going to be the front of our panel. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use our Project Life pen, and this is a little bit thicker pen, so I'm just going to outline these edges with this Project Life pen. And I'm just going along and drawing freehand, so it's a little bit more organic looking. A line all the way around, and there we go. And then, because I think it looks kind of neat, we're going to add a few little hash marks as we go around, and I'll do that on each side, just a few here and there, and I keep them kind of staggered so there's no real pattern with that. And then our piece of vellum paper that we've colored on this side, now we're going to flip it over. We're going to adhere that right there on the left-hand side. So I've got my snail, and we're just going to add a little bit of snail to this vellum panel and set this in just kind of just right here on the left side. Then we can go ahead and stamp our sentiment. Now the sentiment that we're using from Mother's Love is quite large, so I have it on a block E, and I will need a stamping pad. Now the pads, of course, are turned off at the Stampin' Up site because they're back ordered due to the dock strike and everything else that's going on. So it might be a while before you can get one, but when you can get one, I encourage you to get two. You'll want to get one for paper piercing. That looks like this. And then you'll want to get one for stamping. I suppose you could stamp on your paper piercing one, just flip it over to the other side, but sometimes those paper pierces come through, and I would just hate to have, I don't know, I would just dislike seeing all of these dots where I'm going to be stamping, just in case they would mar my image. Now that probably wouldn't happen with our thicker cardstock, but it could happen with our lighter weight cardstock. And so now I'm going to again take the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to ink up this sentiment. And I love this Tuxedo Black Memento ink. It works well on our, it works really, really well with our cardstocks, and it also is the best black ink to use when you are using your photopolymer stamps. So we're going to give this some breathing room at the top, and we're just going to put that towards the lower part of the card. That's just a nice way to do it for a sympathy card, I think. And then we'll lift it up, and we have our sentiment stamped. Now we just have to add a ribbon before we put it onto our card. So I have the Calypso Coral seam binding ribbon, and I'm going to use this right off the spool. That way I don't have to guess how much that I need. And so we'll just tie this around and around once more. And as we come through the loop, we're going to flip this back, and that way we get a really nice flat bow here. And now we just need to trim it up, so I'll get my ribbon scissors. It's always a good idea to dedicate one scissors to cutting ribbon and fabric exclusively. That way it will always stay super sharp for you. And we are ready to adhere this to the front of our card. So let me go ahead and make sure this is in place right where I want it. And I think just to secure that a little bit better, to make sure it doesn't move around on me in transit or wherever happens, I like to just add a little piece of tape to the back, and that way I know it'll stay in place. So there we go. Now we're ready to put it on our card. And we're going to, again, keep this card kind of loose and flowing. So we are going to use dimensionals to adhere this to our card. And we really only need 4. We just want to give a little impression of lift. And now we can set this right on our card. So we're just going to make sure that all of our borders are nice and even. And our card is complete. So there you have the front side of the card and the inside. And here is the card I started with. So you can see them both together. So have a very happy day. Thank you so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. I truly appreciate you. And if you would like to get some of this sheer vellum paper stack that Stampin' Up! Is offering as a bonus celebration item, just head on over to my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com. And when your order is $50, that's when Stampin' Up! will trigger it and let you know that you have a celebration item coming. Have a great day, and thanks so much. Bye-bye.